Hi, welcome to today's On This Day in the Fall of Anne Boleyn. My series counting down to the anniversary of Anne Boleyn's execution, and of course we are there today. For on this day in 1536, Friday the 19th of May, Queen Anne Boleyn, second wife of King Henry VIII and mother of Queen Elizabeth I, was beheaded by a swordsman within the confines of the Tower of London. Anne had been Henry VIII's queen consort since their official marriage on the 25th of January 1533, or perhaps November 1532, as there might have been some kind of marriage or betrothal then. She's been crowned queen on the 1st of June 1533 at Westminster Abbey, and yet here she was condemned for high treason, having been accused of having sexual relations with 4 men and committing incest with her brother, George Boleyn, Lord Rochford, and plotting with all 5 men to kill her husband, the king. 3 years her life had changed dramatically. At 8 o'clock that morning, when the Constable of the Tower of London, Sir William Kingston, went to inform Anne that the time of her death was near, he found Anne ready and waiting, and she'd taken special care with her outfit. It's recorded that she had ermine trim, which symbolised royalty. She had a crimson kirtle, the colour crimson being associated with martyrdom, although actually it was also a very popular colour for petticoats and kirtles. Her hood that she was wearing that day was the traditional English gable hood, the same type of hood that she'd been depicted wearing in the 1534 medal that we still have of her that was made in her honour. Anne was escorted by Sir William Kingston from her apartments in the Royal Palace complex of the Tower of London to what was a freshly built scaffold, which we know was situated between the White Tower and the House of Ordnance. Today, that spot, if you go to the Tower of London and stand on the parade ground between the White Tower and the entrance to the Crown Jewels in the Waterloo Barracks, then you are standing sort of in the area where Anne's scaffold was. It's not where the glass memorial on Tower Green is situated. We know it was before the House of Ordnance. With Kingston's assistance, Anne climbed the scaffold steps and then she addressed the waiting crowd. She said, "Good Christian people, I have not come here to preach a sermon. I have come here to die. For according to the law and by the law, I am judged to die, and therefore I will speak nothing against it. I am come hither to accuse no man, nor to speak of that whereof I am accused and condemned to die. But I pray God save the king, and send him long to reign over you. For a gentler nor a more merciful prince was there never, and to me he was ever a good, a gentle and sovereign lord. And if any person will meddle of my cause, I require them to judge the best, and thus I take my leave of the world and of you all, and I heartily desire you all to pray for me." Anne then paid the visibly distressed executioner, who asked her forgiveness for what he was about to do. Her ladies removed their mistress's mantle, and Anne lifted off her gable hood. One of her ladies gave her a linen cap to cover her hair, so she put that on. And then she knelt on the scaffold, fastening her skirts about her feet to protect her modesty. Then, allowing one of her ladies to bandage her eyes with a blindfold, she prepared to die. As she knelt, she prayed, "O Lord, have mercy on me. To God I commend my soul. To Jesus Christ I commend my soul. Lord Jesus, receive my soul." The executioner, who was actually already armed with his sword, sought to distract the worried queen by calling out to his assistant to pass him his sword. As the blindfolded Anne moved her head to try and figure out what was going on, the executioner silently came up behind her and beheaded her with one stroke. Anne's distraught ladies then wrapped their queen's remains in white cloth and took them to the nearby chapel of St. Peter ad Vincula for burial. Unfortunately, no one had thought to actually prepare a coffin or a casket for Anne Boleyn's remains, so a yeoman warder ended up having to fetch an old elm chest, which had once contained bow staves, from the Tower of London armoury. Anne's remains, her head and her body, were then placed in the chest and laid to rest in the chancel of the chapel near her brother. The people of London were informed of the death of their queen by the cannons firing, and courtier Sir Francis Bryan rushed to tell Jane Seymour of the death of her former mistress. Talking of Jane, it was on the same day as Anne's executioner that Thomas Cranmer, Archbishop of Canterbury, issued a dispensation for King Henry VIII to marry Jane Seymour, although in the third degrees of affinity, without publication of bans. It just seems very distasteful and unseemly for the Archbishop to be issuing this dispensation today, but Henry VIII seemed to be in quite a hurry to move on with his life and to take a third wife. So that's what happened on this day in 1536. We have a queen dying at the Tower of London. Well, not just dying, being executed in the grounds of the Tower of London. So if you visit the Tower today, if you get a chance to go to the Tower of London, if you head for that parade ground between the White Tower and the entrance to the Crown Jewels, just around there on that parade ground is where Queen Anne Boleyn was executed. And the chapel of St. Peter ad Vincula is her resting place, and also the resting place of George Boleyn, and of course later on it became the resting place of Jane Boleyn, Catherine Howard, and all sorts of people, so that's well worth a visit too. So rest in peace, dear Queen Anne Boleyn, who died on this day, 19th of May 1536. I'm not going to end there. I'm actually going to do one last video. So I'll see you tomorrow. I'll also see you with my On This Day in Tudor history videos for the rest of the year, but I'm going to do one more video in this series, so do tune in tomorrow. See you then. Bye bye.